arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting a fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defined, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar has been the hardest. The scars on my face said I ain't always been the smartest, but I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, even if the beat stops my soul.
Let's go.
It's Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. A little sports nonsense and whiskey hanging with the fella. Other guy's got some family obligations he's taking care of tonight, which you know how we feel about that. So, Robert, you'll be missed, but enjoy your time. Pinky, my guy, how's it going?
I'm here, baby. I got your back. No whiskey tonight, but I am doing a vodka cherry limeade. So,
Okay. All right.
I was feeling fruity tonight. What can I say?
All right. Good for you.
Hey,
Drink what makes you happy.
I've got a rundown of NFL topics for you.
Let's go. Let's jump into things. Let's see what we got going on.
Oh, buddy. I cannot wait. I've been busy at work, so I don't get to chat with you guys as much lately. And so then I have to get my sports talk in on the podcast. So today it was officially announced the Cardinals are going to part ways with Kyler Murray. Let's talk about it.
I did hear today most likely a post-June 1st release, just due to the money that it would help them save ever so slightly. But they're kind of putting it out there now so that teams can figure out if there's more than one of them that wants him, and if they want to then maybe potentially trade for him, which, look, anything's possible if you've got more than one person interested, but that would be a wild move if somebody traded for him at this point.
Nobody's trading for Kyler. Nobody wants that contract, bro.
I don't disagree.
That is not happening. It's unfortunate. I still can't get around. Like, he's just too small. I know I shouldn't hold on to that. I know we've seen other guys that are pretty small in stature, but to be a consistent NFL franchise quarterback, there's just certain things you got to be able to do. I think he's got the athletic talent to be able to be a franchise quarterback. I just don't know if he's got it up here. And I mean, after 7 seasons, just hasn't really shown us anything. And it's he's being released the first day of the new league year, so not June 1st.
No, that's not true yet. We'll see what happens. I think they save like $8 million if they wait till after June 1. As far as the dead
Adam
cap
Schefter reported they are cutting him on the first day of the league year.
Yeah, I heard that. I also heard on my drive home this afternoon a local beat writer for Arizona say that they're hearing the rumors now, or that it's being notified to the league so that people can gauge their interest, but they will probably wait till after June 1st to save the money. So, I mean, I'm not trying to dispute what Shefty says. Dude, been doing this a long time and usually pretty accurate, but it's not like I just heard it from like some random sports talk head. He was talking to one of the national beat writers for Arizona, which I found interesting. He didn't think they'd get a trade offer, but he thinks the reason for it is to try and see if there's more than one team interested that they could then potentially drum something up. even if they had a trade offer, I feel like somebody would offer him a 7th round pick and they'd be like, nah, we're good. we want more, and they'd blow it anyways. So, like, he's going to get released. I said a long time ago at this point in time that I thought him and Tua would get cut and move on, and the teams would take those dead cap hits. Not a whole lot of people believe that would happen. But I think, like I said before, that Russell Wilson situation opened up the floodgates of what teams are going to be willing to do moving forward.
If you can get decent quarterback play from someone, you might as well do it, because these guys aren't giving you that. They're giving you pretty subpar quarterback play a lot of the time. So, and unfortunately, it's not just been 1 year; it's been multiple years, and that's why it's like it's just time to let it. It's just time to end this experiment. Let it go.
I wouldn't say Kyler or Tua have been subpar.
Last two,
I wouldn't say they've been great or played up to their contracts necessarily, but there's been a lot of things that have gone into that around them also. It's not entirely been on them. They're not. I think Minnesota would be a good fit for Kyler, for the simple fact that if they truly do want to open up the competition and possibly move on from from JJ, Kyler gives you a bit of a bridge there that you could do something with potentially with that roster. And I still think Tua to the Rams and sitting behind Stafford and potentially having the opportunity to take over for him. Because, look, McVay's going to have a run game and he doesn't need a mobile quarterback. He's proven that for the last how many years? And Tua can do exactly what McVay wants to do, which is get the ball out of your hands to the right guy. The question with Tua isn't necessarily the talent. It's, are you going to be able to stay healthy and on the field long enough for us to be able to win games and make a long run with you? I don't know if that's actually possible, because he seems unwilling to change his game in the slightest, which is going to leave him exposed. So neither guy is a bad option. They're just not great options. It's almost like the Steelers grabbing Rodgers last year. And we're Aaron guys. But we also knew that he's no longer going to play at a really high level, but he's going to be able to play well enough to win you games if you have a good roster around him.
He did take him to the playoffs.
I know. He played well last year. He's just not I'm saying he's not going to be playing at that all-pro level anymore. I don't think either one of these guys can play at an all-pro level, but I think they can, similar to what Sam Darnold did last year for Seattle, I think either one of them could be able to do that for the right franchise. So they're getting cut. And if that's truly what happens and they get cut, you basically rent them. I'd sign them to a vet minimum 1-year deal. And then they prove themselves worthy, give them an extension and roll with it and see what you can do. There's not, unless you're going to be really bad for next year's QB class and make a run after whoever flies up the board out of nowhere, Dante Moore and Arch Manning, then you've got to start looking at which one of these guys can you do the reclamation project on. And that's where you're going to have to, place your bet and hope you can play it really well.
Mm. Neither guy.
I was a big Kyler supporter there for a while. I'm out on him now, and it's more for what you said, is I don't know if he has it between the ears in the way that you need him to. I know that offensive line was bad last year. I know they had no running game. I know he got injured. I was high on them last year going into the season. I struggle with Kyler now, but the reason I'm out, while I think he can still perform, I think there's still potential there. The reason I wouldn't go after it is because what you said between the ears, I'm not sure if he truly is that elite type of player. And like you said also, it's been 7 years in the league. We do know what he's going to give you production-wise. At his best, you're probably getting about 3,700, 3,800 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, And at this point, maybe 600 yards rushing and another 4 or 5 touchdowns. Those are solid numbers from your quarterback, but you better have a lot of stuff around him with a great running game to get the rest of that production you need from the offense.
But he can't do that because he's never healthy. So,
I mean, you're not entirely wrong. So, could things turn around? Yeah. Do I predict either one of them being spectacular going forward? No, I do not.
Maybe I should have had an energy drink. Jesus.
But I did see the writing on the wall with both of them getting released, and I don't think this is going to be an uncommon thing moving forward in the league. Teams are going to be willing to rip the Band-Aid off and move forward and just pay that dead cap hit so they can start over sooner rather than later.
Another quarterback. We had Daniel Jones get transition tagged, which is an interesting way to go.
Boy wants more money than Indiana thought he was going to want, and I don't blame Indiana in this situation.
Well, this is the easiest way to say, okay, go test the market, sign a deal. They have the opportunity to match it.
And that's basically what they're telling him. Like, we don't think you're worth what you think you're worth. Go find out. And let's see what happens. Because both sides, I think, understand that this is their best option right now.
And if I remember right, the transition tag comes with a match. But I don't believe that it's just that they just get the right to match it. They wouldn't get any draft compensation if they don't match it. So I can't remember what there's another one where you can tag somebody with, and if they sign with another team, you get like a first round draft pick or something. So I don't know. This is a tough one, man. He was looking good in Indianapolis. They had a lot around him, though. Offensive line, JT, Pittman, Tyler Warren, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. Like, the offense was pretty solid around this guy. Made him look good. Maybe the Giants would have looked that good if they had the pieces like that around him. But then he got hurt again, right? It was Achilles, right? Yeah, it's Achilles. So this is a tough one. I don't know if you're the Colts, I don't know. I mean, could you get similar play from Tua or Kyler? Maybe when we got all those pieces, right? I just have a hard time paying a guy that's showed me just enough to go, yeah, you know what? We probably would like to re-sign you, but I just don't know if I want to sign you to big money either. Like, I don't think I want to give you $40 million a year.
I think he's trying to get paid again.
I mean, can't fault the guy, right?
I mean, he tore his Achilles week 14 of last year. So the likelihood of him playing this next year is slim to none.
Oh, no, he's playing. He's playing. He might be like missed the first 4 weeks, but he's young enough that he could still play.
Who do you know that's come back from an Achilles injury that quickly?
I mean, Demaryius Thomas came back in 6 months.
From a torn Achilles?
Yeah.
DT did not do that.
I will. Give me a sec. Keep talking, and I'll pull it up.
I mean, I think you're looking at a minimum year time frame for a return.
Nope.
I mean, if he could do it in 8 months, that would be ready for the beginning of the season. But that even with today's modern technology and the way guys have been able to bounce back and be, I mean, Durant looking like himself at the age he is, but under a year. Aaron tried to do that, and it didn't work at all. Six months from a torn Achilles. I feel like I'd remember that. basically where I'm going with this is, while it on paper might feel like it's both of their best options, if I'm the Colts, I'm looking at Kyler if I think I can rehab him and he can be a long-term answer, or I'm looking at Malik Willis right now and seeing if he could potentially be the long-term answer. And I'm moving on from Daniel Jones because I don't think he's playing next year. So you're going to throw away another year with that roster and let it age. I think it's a bad idea and Colts have been in some bad situations with their quarterback since Peyton got hurt. Thought you had luck long-term, decided not to build around him the right way.
Demaryius Thomas tore his Achilles in February of 2011.
Okay.
And played 10 games that season. So February to he came back in like October.
Mid-October.
That's
8 months.
It can be done. He's a wide receiver. A quarterback, I think, in 8 to 10 months could do it.
How did he play the year he came back in those 10 games?
Well, he had Tebow, so I don't know if
yeah, that's tough to fair. I mean, I don't expect.
He took an 70-yard pass to the end zone in overtime against Pittsburgh that same year. So,
no.
Yeah, it was 2011. Same year.
Damn. All right, good for DT.
2012 we had Peyton. 2011 we had Tim Tebow, and Demaryius Thomas was out for a little bit with the torn Achilles. So look what you learned today. It can be done. It's just not something that's
not in 6 months, but closer and sooner than I. All right, fair. So then they're expecting Jones to be back for the start of the season. Then run with it. But I mean, and if that's the case, go with it. I mean, you're still probably looking at a year removed before he looks like himself again. Still, not very many guys are able to bounce back and be themselves that quickly. But again, technology is such that things are a bit different now.
So I would say let him walk if he does sign elsewhere.
Yeah, if somebody is willing to give him more than you are, let him walk. Don't bid that war. That's not, stick to that and then go and see what other options you have. You need a long-term solution. And if you're feeling like you're going to overpay somebody who's not quite, don't be that team. Don't do it. It's going to put you in a bad spot.
You want to get frisky, trade a second or third round pick for Tanner McGee from the Eagles. He's looked pretty good when he's played. Try that. That might be cheaper.
I wouldn't. No.
That shows my trust in some of these other available options.
I mean, that's fine. I wouldn't trade that kind of pick though for a backup, unproven. I'd let Justin Fields come play for whatever $5 million deal he wants for a year and then try it again the following year before I trade a second round pick for a backup that hasn't done anything. Oof, no.
They've got options. That's all I'm saying. They've got options. Maybe none of them good, but they've got them.
Watch them bring in Kirk Cousins and just keep their carousel of veteran old quarterbacks rolling.
I think Kirk Cousins with that O-line and run game could still win you some games.
He wouldn't be bad, but that's the problem. He'd be just good enough to not really be a true contender for a Super Bowl and not bad enough to be drafting high enough to go after one of the top draft prospects. So that you don't want to do that to your franchise. That's a bad idea. So I mean, yeah, I guess if you're predicting him to start the season, then run with it. I was thinking he would be closer to that November timeline, and then there's no point in.
There'd be no reason to even transition tag him then.
Right, that's true.
Hey, nobody else is gonna sign you. Ain't worried about it. So. Yeah.
Unless you're thinking you're getting him at 30 a year, which is, I mean, at that position, it's a steal. Regardless of what kind of production you're getting, that's still a good number if you're looking at your quarterback room and what you're paying.
I'm seeing reports Malik Willis is going to go for 30 a year.
I don't think that's out of the question. I don't think that would surprise me at all. It wouldn't surprise me if he got less, but I don't think. Again, you're talking about the top dudes going for 50. So if you can get a starting quarterback, a quality starting quarterback that can go out there and win you games, he doesn't need to be all pro, but if he's a solid, decent starting quarterback and you can get him for 30 in today's NFL, that's a steal.
That's 50 is just gross.
Look at what the salary cap is now. Though.
I know. I keep thinking,
and that's like third team all pro in the NBA.
I'm thinking about this 2024 draft class.
That's a career 250 hitter in the majors, my guy. That's nothing.
2024 draft class quarterbacks are going to get like 60 a year. Oh,
maybe.
Oh. All right, enough Danny Dimes. We'll see what happens with Danny Dimes. Kenneth Walker III.
I don't remember what I was listening to today, but I also heard. I was reading Matthew Berry's 35 interesting things I heard at the combine or something like that. One of the things he heard was Seattle is definitely under the belief they are losing Walker, and there are rumors he heard that the Giants want to go after him strongly.
Could see that. I mean, I don't know if I would want to go there because that O-line's been shit for a decade. He looked really good this season based on they had a pretty decent run game. They had a quarterback that played well.
He split basically 50-50 carries all season with Charbonnet.
Yeah.
So was that what the Giants would want to do with him and Scatterbo?
Was Scatterbo? Was he ACL or Achilles?
Dislocated his ankle.
Oh, that's right. That he might be okay. We'll see. He might be okay. I mean, that gives you thunder and lightning, right? KW3 being more of the lightning and Scatterboo being more of the thunder. Run it down your throat.
Definitely could.
And Jim
jams
Harbaugh.
Me at running back again on fantasy if that happens. I can't get away from these handcuff rooms driving me nuts.
Yeah, that's an interesting combination, but I feel like Kenneth Walker is a big playmaker that, you know, I just don't know what his value is. Like, how much do you want to really pay him? I don't know if he's the workhorse guy.
I would say your upper third of running backs, whatever that money is, he's right on the bottom of that line.
I mean, I think 12 to 15 is what like Saquon and Christian McCaffrey get. So we're talking 10?
Probably 12, 10, somewhere in there. Yeah. If not more, he might get somebody that could give him the 15. One, because the salary cap's continuing to rise. And two, he does have that Super Bowl performance where he was the offense. You know what I mean? So once Charbonnet went down, he actually played really well in workhorse duties. So he can make an argument, you know what I mean? And get a couple extra on that yearly and see what happens. But I think it would not surprise me if he would want to go somewhere where he can be like the 1A and have somebody else to run with, because I think he, just based on interviews I've seen with him and the dude, he's a team guy first, I think. And he also understands that prolongs his career. He seems like he's kind of that type of dude. He knows he can still get his on the field, but having a running mate is good for everybody. I think he kind of has a bit of that mindset. So it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up in a backfield where they already have somebody that they like and he gets to run alongside with them. You know, kind of that, who was it? Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
Down there in Carolina was that first true like dual running back room where you felt like both guys were the dude and they were happy about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. They had a pretty good split.
So I could see him wanting to be in that kind of situation. I just don't think Seattle's going to pay him, which is why he'll end up leaving. I think he definitely wants to stay. They're going to offer him like 8, and somebody else is going to be like, here's 15.
His value's never going to be higher. So you got to collect.
I mean, I don't think that's entirely true either. I think he could, given the right situation, put up Jahmyr Gibbs numbers.
Yeah,
I think he has that kind of explosiveness and potential.
You got to remember, running backs usually get one big cash-in contract. And
I agree. I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, I think he could come off and show that he's even better than what we've seen. That's all. So while this might be his best chance to sign a big contract, I'm just saying I don't know if this is truly his peak as far as value in the big picture, if that makes sense.
I think it's his best chance to capitalize on
his
value.
That's fair.
So, because again, running backs, they're limited on their time and value. So you really gotta hit when the getting's good. Otherwise, you get nicked up, and then they offer you less, and then at some point you become the 1-year Band-Aid every year until they find somebody to replace you. So it's a tough position right now.
What's funny you say that, because I was actually thinking the other day, I think of Adrian Peterson more like that than I do being one of the best running backs to ever play the game now. And I hate that. I absolutely hate that. But that thought comes to my head more than it does how insanely good he was for a solid 8 years. Because he bounced around so much at the end of his career. And he shouldn't have. He was still one of the best running backs in the league. And he kept showing it every time somebody gave him a chance to run on the field. They just refused to give him a couple-year deal and let him be the guy for some reason. And
the problem he had is he kept going to teams that weren't very good.
So those are the only teams that would pay him.
So then
That's the other problem.
And now he's broke. So now you know why.
You gotta be smarter than that.
Gotta be smart with your money. I still remember to this day. Oh, we'll talk about that offline. I don't want to share his business. Another interesting nugget.
Before you jump, still on running backs real quick. The Jets said they're going to franchise tag Breece Hall.
Yep.
And I heard, I think this might have also been Matthew Berry's interesting things he heard at the Combine. The two teams at the top of the list right now, he thinks, for Travis Etienne are Kansas City and New Orleans.
Okay.
Kansas City would be scary because then they can use that top 10 pick on line or defense, whatever they want to do, instead of a running back if they did think about Jeremiah Love. I'm not trying to say Etienne's as good as Love. I'm not going down or even having that conversation right now. Just saying Etienne, I think, is a very good back, and you wouldn't need to draft Love at that point anymore. And
the Kansas City Chiefs are not drafting a running back at 9.
You keep saying that because you don't think Andy Reid would do it, but
that's a team. That's a team that's normally has followed their script. Not saying they can't go off script, but they have followed their script when it comes to building in the trenches, and they've got some weakness on their O-line, specifically their right tackle. They also have some weakness on their D-line with Chris Jones getting older and only showing up occasionally. They need help in those areas, and there's a couple really good defensive tackles and defensive ends, a couple good O-linemen. I don't see them drafting a player like Love at 9, which he's awesome, but you could probably get better on defense in the offensive line and draft another running back in the 3rd round.
I'm not saying you're not right or wrong. What I am saying is nobody thought they were trading up for Patrick Mahomes either. So I think they're willing to do the big splash and go about building things.
Trading up for a quarterback and taking a running back at 9 are two different conversations, Caleb. Completely different conversations. Quarterback's the most needed position in all of football. Running back is one of the biggest positions of you can get that value anywhere in the draft.
No. I think it's been proven now, and all NFL teams would agree, difference makers are hard to find. And when you believe there's a difference maker, you do take that and you do not let it go past you. So you're talking about the Chiefs like they're rebuilding. I think you give them a running back like that, Patrick Mahomes healthy and all their weapons healthy for a full season, they can figure out the offensive line later in the draft and free agency.
Can they?
Absolutely.
Because if they had, they wouldn't be so bad on the O-line right now.
Sometimes you swing and miss. Sometimes you let guys walk that you shouldn't have let walk.
It's not a guarantee that you go and get a competent O-lineman to replace the crappy O-lineman you already have.
No, it's not. But there's no guarantee that just because one of the worst things teams do is draft for need, not based on the best talent available. And it's hurt a lot of teams over the years. And I find it very hard to believe that the Chiefs would be a team that would draft on need and pass on what many believe is a generational talent at that position. Because that kind of talent in the backfield has proven over time that it can make a bad line decent, a decent line good, a good line great. Those do help each other. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think if Etienne ended up there, obviously I don't think they'd go after Love. So that would be an interesting push.
I don't think they'll go after Love anyways. So there's that. They're not taking a running back at 9. I'd probably make a crazy bet on it too. Because that's just not something you do. Desperate teams draft running backs in the top 10. Good teams normally don't. Back to Trey Hendrickson. Statement. That's not a weird statement. It's a fact.
It's not. How is that a fact?
Name a good team. Well, most good teams don't draft in the top 10 to begin with, so there is that. But the majority of good teams draft other positions of value over running back in the top 10 or in the first round. The majority of running backs throughout the league that go in the second to third round or even deeper make a really good impact. And then you didn't waste the top 10 pick on a running back.
You could be
Saquon was not Saquon was a little bit better than average, even with a really bad O-line. So it's possible, but they still didn't win games. Chiefs are still trying to win championships, man. They got to build out around.
Yeah, the Chiefs are still trying to win championships. You're right, and you're acting like they're rebuilding, not reloading.
Their O-line is bad. It's bad.
It's been bad for years.
It's been really bad the last 2 seasons.
And they've gone to the Super Bowl with really bad offensive lines.
And the 2 times they did with really bad O-lines, they got mollywopped.
I'm just saying. Drafting one O-lineman at 9 isn't going to do.
I think they'd go D-line at 9 myself, but O-line would be the other option because their right tackle and their left tackle positions are atrocious.
Either way, I'll say again, drafting for need and skipping on talent, the only way that ever works is if the need you're drafting is also a talent. And right now there's not any generational talents that people are looking at as far as that defensive line. Jeremiah Love is one of those dudes. He just is. And if you believe you have a competent front office, then you can fill the holes you have through free agency and later in the draft. Maybe they won't be great, but they can still be good. And that combination with a generational talent, I would rather have than a good running back and a good offensive line. I'd rather get good and great. And I think that's the potential they have to do right now.
But when I also have a quarterback that makes so much money and actually makes our team really good, I'd rather protect him with a good O-line versus just a running back.
I think you can still do a good O-line in this draft and free agency. I think you're trying to get great, and I don't think you need great.
I think you do when you have a quarterback like Mahomes. And they've drafted really bad on the O-line the last 3 seasons. The guys that they picked that were great were Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. Everybody else has been a bust. So whatever
Simmons is pretty damn good.
When he plays, he is good. Well, he had some moments in the second half of the season that he didn't look great. The beginning of the season, he looked really good. So we'll see when he comes back.
Rookie left tackle. I mean, they're going to have their. I think whatever. We can move on. We'll as the draft gets
I tried like
closer-
5 minutes ago. You wouldn't let us. So
Well, I wanted to talk about the other 2 running backs that were the big names in this free agent class.
well, we weren't talking about free agents yet. We're just talking about the news. Come on, man, get with it.
We were talking about free agents. Every guy you brought up was a free agent.
I said, well, because they're not franchise tagging Kenneth Walker. That's why it was a news story today.
All right, fair.
The Bengals are not franchise tagging Trey Hendrickson.
We're only talking about running backs. I thought we were going to go through the names, and then you just flipped.
No,
Trey
we're not.
Hendrickson.
We're
I
not
wasn't
doing.
prepared. I wasn't ready. My bad.
That's next week when free agent frenzy starts. Free agency
goodness.
starts Monday. We can talk free agent running backs on Tuesday. No
Okay.
problem.
Okay.
Trey Hendrickson is a free man. Probably 2 years too late. I think he's still got a little bit left in the tank, but his best days are behind him, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seems to be what Cincinnati does to guys. Cincinnati and the Browns, as I'm kind of thinking about it. We're going to basically hold on to you and not actually pay you, per se. Myles Garrett being a bit of an exception there. And we're not really going to win with you. And then if you ask for a release, we're just going to let you sit at home. And just so many bad business decisions by the Bengals over and over and over again, which, these NFLPA report cards come out and you see them and you're like, oh yeah, that adds up. Yeah, that matched what I was expecting to see.
I mean, Trey Hendrickson's whole thing shows play well from the Bengals and they won't pay you. Why would you want to come play for us? We won't pay you.
Yeah,
if you've got options, go elsewhere.
I will honestly I'd be insanely surprised if Joe Burrow continues to play in Cincinnati. I think he truly wants to win, and I think there is a sense now, whether he'll ever admit it or not, I think just his body language alone, I think is starting to show it, that he doesn't feel like there's an organization behind him that truly wants to win. And I don't think that's a dude who's just willing to sign contracts and stay at one place his whole career to try and make them good when he knows what they're really about.
What happens when you take the fun out of football, right?
Man, I don't understand how you can own a professional franchise and do business the way some of these professional franchise owners decide to do. It makes no sense to me.
Well, this owner in particular is the cheapest owner in the NFL.
I don't know if I fully believe that anymore. Arizona, I'm starting to realize, is really bad too.
They're bad too. They are bad. And again, most of the bad franchises have bad owners. Some of these bad owners are also cheap and poor by NFL owner standards.
By professional sports franchise owner standards these days.
And I get it. You don't want to really sell your team. You love them. You love having a team and saying you're an NFL owner, but at some point.
No, that's not it. They love the piggy bank that the NFL is. Your franchise will never lose you money, no matter what you put on the field. That's economics 101 with the NFL. You will never lose money as an NFL owner. You won't. And none of these dudes are willing to give up that guaranteed income anymore. Because if all else fails, every other business they own goes under.
Yeah, but if you can sell
They
for like
could put a bare minimum product on the field and they could just live off of whatever they need to coming in from the rest of that revenue. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another a sports league where a team could get away with that. The only league I think you could do that with is the NFL. It's crazy. It is absolutely bonkers to me the way some of these owners handle business. I think Trey Hendrickson, to me, honestly, if I'm Dallas or if I'm Philly, those are two teams. I know they're in the same division, but I think both in similar situations where he could come in and provide some instant help.
I didn't think Dallas right away, but that would make a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense.
The other one I had, it's funny because I think all NFC teams right now, I mean, Kansas City might be one, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, that wouldn't be bad. But the other one I thought about right away, Pinky, was San Francisco as well.
Not a bad idea. If they could keep Nick Bosa on the field at the same time, that'd be pretty dangerous.
AFC, as I'm kind of thinking about it a little harder, I think those three teams popped to my head. The first is just, it feels like it would fit. Aging, they've already got some pieces there that they can help him with. Maybe Detroit is another one. But AFC, again, I keep ending up in the same divisions, which is funny, but Denver and Kansas City kind of popped to my mind right away as teams that he could come in and fill in and contribute for right away.
Denver's got a decent pass rush room. Not that they couldn't use him, but I would look at more of like Buffalo, where behind Joey Bosa,
maybe,
Gregory
but
Rousseau.
Denver makes more sense to me because they have the cap to put him in, and he just adds more ammunition onto an already stacked. It's the same reason Philadelphia. They always they don't necessarily have the cap, but they always find ways to make room for it, and it would just be adding another weapon. And that's what it feels like Denver would be doing based on the offenses they have to go up against. Add another weapon. It's what you want to do, especially when you have the cap space to go out and spend.
Definitely would want to add a couple pieces, and basically you could give this guy a 2-year deal. You could front load him and give him cash up front, and then you can cut him, and you're not going to pay much salary cap because you gave him most of it, cash. So be interesting to see. We've got quite a few more NFL stuff to talk about, so I'll start running through.
We got time. Robert's not here, so I've only got one nonsense topic for us tonight. So
Drew Dahlman, 27-year-old Pro Bowl guard for the Chicago Bears, announced his retirement. We haven't had one of these in a while, where a top player 1 year into a $42 million deal, calling it quits. Healthy.
Was he a Pro Bowler because he was a Pro Bowler? Or was he a Pro Bowler because he was a Pro Bowler?
He was a Pro Bowler in Atlanta, and then he was a Pro Bowler again this year in Chicago.
Hey, you know what I'm asking, though. If you know, you know. Solid lineman. When I hear news like this, it just doesn't necessarily surprise me when it's NFL. Other sports, it takes me off guard a little bit, but the NFL is vicious, man. Football in general is vicious. So if you grow up playing football at a high level like some of these dudes do, the toll that takes on their bodies, especially linemen, and being in those trenches, like I've seen interviews with some dudes who retired early specifically because they went to some NFL dinner and they got introduced to some old ass lineman from the 60s or something who was in a wheelchair and completely broken. And they go, "Oh man, what are you, like 95?" And they're like, "I'm 52." And it's like, and they look at that and they're like, "Good, man. I'll do my 6 years and then I'm out. Or if I feel my body change at all, I'm out." Like, I just, when it comes to football, it never surprises me. Like when Andrew Luck, I feel like I'm the only one that when Andrew Luck announced his retirement, I wasn't surprised. I was like, "Yep, that adds up. Totally makes sense. I'll bet you he's going to say because his body can't handle it anymore." He's not
I
going to
think
come out and say they screwed me and didn't give me a line to protect me, but you know what I mean.
I think the body and his love for football had gone.
Well, Andrew Luck specifically, yes. The Colts took everything away from him. And I don't care. Anytime I hear a Colts fan go, "He quit. He's a quit," I can't keep my mouth shut. I think that's the dumbest take you could possibly have with that situation.
Now, and I can respect the decision. I think it's been a little while since we've seen a guy who's maybe in the top 10 of his position retire early without injury concerns.
It's not
like Luke Kuechly retired early, but he had injury concerns.
Right,
he had multiple
absolutely.
concussions.
The concussions and everything else.
Patrick Willis kind of retired early.
But I'm not surprised. Like, it's like, oh, damn, okay. But it may, like, at the same time, I get it. Like, I get it. I'm just not, it's never going to take me back. Hurts Chicago, though. That's a team that, it's not easy to replace pieces like that. And they desperately need that line as solid as possible to take that next step. So it's going to be interesting to see how they replace that.
Right. Then we had a couple trades that went down. And this one went down a couple days ago. I thought I'd highlight this one first. So Jermaine Johnson of the Jets, who is a former first-round pick, had played under Robert Saleh, had gotten like 10 sacks, one of his best seasons. He has had he did have a down year last year, and I think the year before he was hurt.
Leave the Jets and live up to expectations. That should be the motto of every player in that organization.
I believe he will.
Yeah.
So the Jets gave up a pretty darn good pass rusher for a guy that plays 30% of the snaps. And Devondre Sweat.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, Pinky. When I saw this trade,
and this was straight up.
It went from fingertips, barely holding on to my Justin Fields hope, to full hand grips, holding on to my Justin Fields hope. Because I was like, damn, the Jets are that bad. They're that dumb. Maybe Justin could still have a chance. But it's like, I don't know why anybody's resigning with them. Like, what's Garrett Wilson doing? That dude's probably got to be looking at this situation now, screaming how badly he wants out. Like, I fully believe that. I have a hard time believing that's not just the worst ownership in the NFL at this point in time, but also the most unintelligent ownership in the sport. And you hear stories about his son giving advice and dad going with it based on Madden ratings and stuff. Like, that kind of stuff doesn't just get made up out of nowhere. When you've been this consistently awful for as long as you have. And even when Rex Ryan was there and they got to the AFC Championship game a couple years in a row and stuff, it couldn't be sustained. It was like lightning in a bottle. And even Rex suffered after that. And then they ended up firing because he was so bad. So even when they have one or two good years, they come back down to earth because nothing's changing. So good for the young man. He gets out of there. There's a chance Saleh just kills it there with Tennessee and the new front office and everything. And they do make good choices. And Cam Ward does turn out well for them. And they roll. Making deals like this isn't going to help the Jets, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, this deal makes no sense for the Jets. I do think Jermaine was coming up on his contract, so I guess if you're looking at it at that, like, well, we weren't going to re-sign him and give him that big money. I guess it kind of makes sense, but at the end of the day, you still gave up a pass rusher for a guy who's going to play 30% of the snaps against the run.
That's weird.
So interesting. And then we had the big one. Sonic and Knuckles has been split up, with Knuckles being sent to where did I forgot where he went. Houston. Oh yeah, Houston. Which Houston, they traded a couple O linemen last season. They've traded 2 O linemen this season.
And a pick.
And 2 picks. They got Montgomery, and they gave up an O lineman, Scuggs, and 2 picks for Montgomery.
I think Detroit went, and unfortunate for Montgomery, but Detroit went, oh, damn. Yeah, we don't need 2 running backs. We just need Jahmyr Gibbs.
It's nice to have, but Montgomery was like...
But yeah, they go, we've got some guys on the roster that can go fill in a couple downs here and there. We don't need somebody to take those kinds of reps away from Jahmyr Gibbs. That's what David Montgomery getting hurt at the end of last season did. Now, for Houston, how are you going to get your lunch stolen from you? Because you're giving up. And even if you weren't going to start those linemen, any depth of offensive linemen in any way after what you went through last year should be top priority. So even if you were going to keep them on your practice squad, they were more valuable to keep for you than going after a guy who's not a high-end starting running back in the league. David Montgomery's a solid running back. He's not worth what you gave up for. You need an explosive running back in the backfield. Not a guy that's 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of thing.
I need a little bit better than that, but...
You know what I mean, though. Like, this isn't somebody who you're going to feel like can take over a game. He's not known for big plays. Can he break off 15-20 on a somewhat regular basis? Yes. Again, he's not a bad running back. You know, I'll say 4 yards in a cloud of dust. So you can give it to him 3 straight downs and he'll get a first down for you. Like, he is that kind of guy. Not something I would have traded for.
They must be praying that they can sign some O-linemen in free agency.
Especially when the running backs that are coming open on the free agency market are what they are. You would have had more luck trading for an offensive lineman than you would have doing this route. It's just a weird move for Houston.
Most people don't trade O-linemen.
You know what I mean, though? Like, I'm just saying, like, trade 2 bad offensive linemen for 1 average offensive lineman if you're going to give the picks with it. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, Texans
take some dart throws on 2 offensive linemen with those picks and see what happens. There's just better options.
It's still Nick Caserio is the GM there. Like, you had an offensive line that was bad. You've got CJ Stroud at a point now where he just he's a different dude. He's a different dude. And
at the end of last season, by that playoff game, he was playing with 0 confidence. 0 confidence.
Because he couldn't trust that he'd have the 3 seconds to throw the ball.
It is crazy.
So, yeah, this trade made no sense. I am still shocked by it. Good for the Lions. I mean, you were starting to reduce Montgomery's role to begin with. So they can take one of those picks and replace him if they want to. And they need some alignment. They did lose. They did release Graham Glasgow, who started guard and center for them. So they've got some rebuilding on the O-line to do as well. So that helps out.
And Ragnow retired?
Ragnow had retired last year, tried to come back, but was still he couldn't pass his physical.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So, and then moving on,
offensive line, so they did well by themselves, I would say, in Detroit.
They got some good help.
Even if those offensive linemen don't turn out to anything, those picks I think are totally worth it.
I mean, it's like a 4th and a 7th, and they got an O lineman for depth. So That all helps for a guy that you're not really using and you kind of wanted to stop paying anyways. The NFL scouting combine. I don't even know who this is at quarterback, but this is one of the better graphics I could find.
Is that not Ty Simpson?
Is it? It could be. I don't. I've only seen him with an Alabama helmet on.
Yeah, so. It might be Ty Simpson.
I mean, it wasn't Fernando
Mendoza,
because he just walked around and said hi to everybody.
Yeah, he's got no reason to go out there and throw. Or...
So let's talk about that for a sec. Who's that stupid quarterback from Vanderbilt?
Diego Pop.
That guy. He was talking mad
Looked
shit.
pretty good in the Underwear Olympics, didn't he? Throwing them bombs 40 yards on a dime. Oh, my goodness. Moving up the draft boards, Mr. Diego Pavia.
And then they had to throw some shade at Mendoza for not doing anything. And I'm like, bro, you know damn well if you already were going number one, you wouldn't be out there throwing either. Let's not, let's call a spade here. Like Mendoza, there's nothing for Mendoza to do. Like he doesn't even need to have a pro day.
No.
Like I wouldn't. I guess the only reason to have a pro day is if there's a couple wide receivers or running backs that are going to get drafted. You go out there, you throw them the ball.
He's already said he's going to hook his dudes up at the Indiana Pro Day.
That's probably the right thing to do. But he doesn't really
absolutely
need
is,
to do
because
anything.
it can't make you look bad.
It doesn't even matter if he looks bad. If he had a bad day throwing the ball, they'll just say, "Oh, he just had a bad day." He's still going number one. Like the Raiders are drafting him number one. Like that is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
I think actually I think I saw, and I'd have to go back and look to see if it actually ended up being such. But I saw that every quarterback in this class that was invited to the combine said they were going to throw except Mendoza. He was the only one. That's so unique. So unique.
This just happens to be a class that like we don't know enough about any of the other guys. They all have so many question marks of whether they could be competent NFL quarterbacks. They all needed to throw. That, most years, I think last year it was just Cam Ward for the most part. Because Shug went next to New Orleans in like the third round. Shador didn't go to Dart went. Sorry. Dart went 25th. So normally there's two quarterbacks. They throw, they don't throw. 2024, again, we had 6. So again, that's a little bit different scenario. Most of those guys did throw. Caleb didn't. I think Caleb and Jaden didn't. I think Drake did. Drake, JJ, Bo.
I pay so little attention to the Underwear Olympics, to be perfectly honest with you, that I really don't care. I honestly believe that anybody that uses anything from this event to use as part of a reason for or against drafting somebody is foolish.
Well, Caleb, one thing that I know we always agree on is typically the tape doesn't lie.
Right. Now, wait, let me back up. I will say that there is a good aspect to the Underwear Olympics. Everything I said is related directly to the physical aspects. I do think there is quite a bit of benefit to these guys going through all of this and then having to go do, 30-second interviews, shotgun interviews with teams and stuff. That is what I would be using if I was a team for my evaluation. How did you handle that? How were you able to process information and then deliver it back, given those high stress situations and constant movement? That I would take a lot from.
And anything you're doing that for
physically on the field with measurements or 40 times or throws, or I would throw all that away. But the interviewing process and how they interacted with people, that I would be very interested
in. Ooh, that is important. And I think after you work out and then you're out doing interviews for hours, how do you respond?
Yeah.
How do you stay sharp?
That I would find interesting.
Are you still the same character guy after, hour 3 that you were hour 1 of those interviews. So, let's see. So there were 3 guys at the combine that, again, I still think they were top guys before they went to the combine, and they're still top guys after the combine.
Sadiq, biggest mover?
No, he was already number 1, but he was already being. Some people have him going top 10, anyways. Before the combine. This is Sonny Lyles. I think it's Lyles, right? Styles. Sorry, Styles, like AJ. Sonny Styles and his brother Lorenzo were both at the combine, and they both did really well. Sonny is the guy that's got the biggest upside. So, a lot of hype about Sonny Styles this weekend.
DBs that weren't getting talked about a whole lot until they ran really good 40 times.
He's a linebacker. Sonny Styles is a linebacker. Caleb Downs is the safety from Ohio State.
I know Caleb Downs is a safety. I thought him and his brother were defensive backs.
No, Sonny Lyles is a linebacker, man. Look at that. That dude's stacked. He ain't no corner.
Okay, whatever.
He ain't no corner. Come on,
He
Caleb.
ran a fast 40, he moved up, and people are talking about him more all of a sudden. Again, I just don't care about any of this.
Jeremiah Love ran a fairly fast 40. Again, was already the top running back. But I think it started to be like, okay, like this guy has got something. I mean, you just got to pop on the tape and you can tell he's got something. And then, as you mentioned, Sadiq. Sadiq has already been talked about as the best tight end in the group. His fast 40 doesn't hurt his stock at all. He is the top tight end in this.
I think his measurables at the combine guaranteed him a top 10 pick. That's what I think happened with him. That's why I said the biggest mover.
It's possible. It's possible. I think 10 to 20 is where the first tight end should go.
And I will take it a step further. I won't say guarantee, but it would not surprise me in the slightest if somebody trades into the top 10 to grab him.
That is very on the board.
And one of them I see as a potentially being an AFC West team.
Are you saying the Denver Broncos? They did meet with him.
I'm not saying that as a homer. This is something that based on a lot of different things I've heard, I know they're very unhappy with the production they got from that room last year. They want a more explosive weapon. I think what he did at the combine had a lot of people drooling. And I think the Broncos are one of them. I think their cap space and being willing to make some moves, which they've already shown they're willing to do with other trades. They are one of a few teams that popped into my head. I'll keep the other ones for a little bit later until after free agency. But yeah, I think the Broncos are one of them that I could see jumping into the top 10.
And that's all I had for the NFL. We are done. We are done. We made it.
Solid. What else do you want to talk about?
Go for it, buddy. What do you want to talk about? I did all the NFL topics.
On the NBA front, I think there are a couple interesting scenarios kind of playing out right now on both sides of the Mississippi, if you will, Western Conference and Eastern Conference. I think the East is wide open. Wide open. Detroit, Cleveland, New York, or Boston, I think could walk out of the East. I think the thing that could tip the scales the most and make things far more interesting than they are right now is whether or not Jason Tatum really comes back. And if he does come back, how quickly can he ramp up to a point where he is, even 75% of Jason Tatum is a huge add to that Celtics roster right now. So I think that is the biggest question mark hanging over the Eastern Conference. I think right behind that would be the fact that I think the Knicks are starting to show people to an extent that they have a bit of a switch that they can turn on and off. And because Tibbs isn't the head coach anymore, they're not going to play night in, night out as hard as they possibly could 48 minutes a game. They're going to take some nights off, unfortunately. That can hurt you, and you may not get the best seed, and then you get a bad matchup, and then things can go south really quickly. It could also help you, and you could have, more rest and more health going into the playoffs for those battles and those 7-game series. I think that would be the second question hanging over the East right now, is if whether or not the Knicks really do have that switch. And if they have that switch, looking at them potentially coming out of the East would not be much of a stretch at all. Cleveland, we kind of had them being the dark horse last year. I don't think the Harden trade really moves the needle that much, and I don't think they took the step or the jump like I expected them to. So could I see them winning the East? Yes. Do I expect them to win the East? No, I'd have Boston and New York ahead of them. Detroit, I would actually probably have ahead of Cleveland right now as well. I like the Durant-Cunningham combo more than I like the Mitchell-Wade-Mobley combo. So see what happens there. Out west, Denver's got to figure their shit out. OKC is still the favorite. I said I think OKC and Denver are the two best teams in the league. I still believe that. But the way Denver's been playing since Jokic returned from injury has been sloppy at best. And they got to get their stuff together. They're still missing a couple key pieces from injury. I believe they are a team that could turn on the switch, so I'm not concerned. I'm not worried. But it is something that they need to address.
So right now, they are not in a good spot. At the moment, they are the 5th seed.
Yeah. With that loss to Minnesota, it dropped them to 5 because they were tied and they had the tiebreaker.
And their kryptonite is Minnesota. I've not seen them play a really good game against Minnesota. Minnesota just seems to have their number, man.
They had Minnesota beat. They were up by 20 in Game 7, and they decided to take their foot off the gas. That was on them.
That's 2 years ago, though.
I know. Last year, they lose to Game 7 to the defending champs with a depleted roster. I don't think the Nuggets have a kryptonite. They are their worst enemy right now. So I don't buy that Minnesota has them, their number, or anything like that.
That's not a team I want to play in the first round.
I don't want to play any of the top teams in the West right now. But that's where I'm getting is, while I believe Denver is one of the 2 best teams in the league with OKC is still playing consistent basketball even with their injuries that they've had. Minnesota is regular season. They look like they just don't care. And then in the playoffs, they try to turn it on. I still don't trust their bench to be consistent to come out of the West at this point. I still think Rudy Gobert is a liability more so than he is a help come those pressure situations. Look different this year to an extent. See what happens in the playoffs. A lot of people are high on San Antonio all of a sudden. I don't. I think right now what you've seen a lot in the past. A young team that can play 48 minutes a night, 82 games a year, and go out and do that more often than not than veterans that want to kind of wait and rest and come playoff time. San Antonio does not really have a bench. They've got some decent pieces starting in Wemby. They're still a ways out from being a true contender. Come playoff time, 7-game series, I still think Wemby can get pushed around. If you're willing to get physical with him, a 7-game series is not going to go well for Wemby. I think he'll still get his, but I think there will be frustrations that come with it. And I think you look at what OKC has in the front court with Harkenstein and Williams, they can push him around. You look at what Denver has in the front court with Gordon and Jokic and Valanciunas, they can push him around. You look at what Minnesota has in the front court Reed and Julius Randle, and to an extent Gobert, they can push him around. That's going to be an issue for the Spurs. Houston, I think they just aren't quite sure what they need to do. And Durant has come in, and now he's leading the boys and going out and getting 35, 40 a night, and that's not going to be a winning formula for them. So OKC looks like the front runner again. Let's see what happens. I'm not counting any of those teams out, and I think if I had to pick in a 7-game series any of those teams versus any of the teams in the West, I would still have, any of the teams in the East, I would still have the West as the favorite, outside of if San Antonio somehow came out on top. And then I'd have to look at the matchups and see what we're discussing.
I think
I'd pick San Antonio as the favorite.
I think I'd take all 5 of the top teams in the West over any of the Eastern top 5 right now.
The Knicks are a team that showed that they can push Wemby around. They did it a week ago.
No, they didn't do it tonight.
But I was just talking about, you weren't here for it. The Knicks are a team that now that Tibbs isn't the head coach, they're going to take nights off. They have a switch that they flip now. And whether they can do that consistently in playoffs will be another story, but they're flipping switches right now. They're not playing all out every night. So it's a little bit different.
The Knicks weren't playing the Spurs. The 76ers were.
Oh, well, then that's even different. But
that's
still,
why
I think the Knicks have a switch they can flip on and off right now, and that's kind of what they're doing in the regular season. They would be the lone exception based on matchup that I may not pick a West team. Outside of that, yeah, I think those West teams are still superior. Below those West teams, and I've got I've got OKC, Denver, San Antonio, and Minnesota on their own tier. I actually have Houston right below that, and then it's everybody else below that. So
yeah, buddy.
See what happens. But we're 20 games left. 25, somewhere in that ballpark, I think.
No, less than 25.
I don't know where everybody's at. So I think the range is like 20 to 25.
Most people are 20 right to 22 around,
maybe.
Yeah, 20. Like the Lakers have played 50 games, so they've not. I'm sorry, not 50. 60 games, so they've got
22 left.
So you're probably 2022 for most teams.
Somewhere in that ballpark is what we're looking at left. So there can still be some movement, but you're going to start seeing the standings shake out as far as who's in, who's out, and the seedings are going to start at the bottom half, start showing who's in the bottom and who's in the top here pretty quickly. There won't be much movement outside of that. The West is what's going to be interesting because where I said I think you've only got 4 teams in the East that have a legit top shot. Those are going to be your top 4. Somebody's going to get non-home court in the West that could make a run all the way to the finals. And we have not seen a team do that in a little while. That's everybody believes is a true championship contender. So it'll be interesting to see how that top of the West falls out because somebody's not going to get that home court. And it's going to be interesting to see who it is and how that affects the situation. Because that's the 4-5 matchup. So, if that ends up being Denver, Minnesota, that's a banger right from the jump.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty crazy.
If you look at that, that's where you start getting real interesting scenarios. Or if it's like, let's say it is Denver. Do you then say, well, we already don't have home court. Do we want to look at going maybe down to 6 and getting the 3rd? Maybe that gives us San Antonio. Maybe that gives us Houston. Do we like that matchup more than we do Minnesota? So you start seeing some gamesmanship in those situations, whether teams want to admit it or not, and they definitely play those scenarios out. So the NBA is going to start getting pretty interesting here. I think right now the MVP is all but shored up with SGA winning again his back-to-back. I would be amazed if he doesn't. The only way that happens is if he gets injured again and he misses the games. I think Jokic can only miss one more game. I think he misses it at some point. I would be surprised if he doesn't. If SGA misses enough to then be out of the running as well, it would not surprise me at all if Cade Cunningham jumps to the top and Jaylen Brown goes right behind him because of what they're doing for their teams and where they're at. So something worth keeping an eye on. But SGA's got I think he can miss 9 more games. So given how many games are left, I think he's got enough of a buffer there that he should probably run away with the award from here on out.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless the Nuggets go on some crazy, they win the next 15 games in a row or something like that, and Jokic is the main point of it, then he could jump back into the conversation. But yeah, like I said, I think he misses at least one more game, which would completely remove him from the running anyways. So SGA is to lose at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately. I just hate watching Thunder games at this point.
You know how I feel about basketball and everything, but the Thunder have ramped up the defensive intensity, if you will, to a point where they are taking advantage of and fully embracing that kind of villainish role. And I think it's going to hurt them come playoff time.
Fingers crossed. What else we got? We got 14 minutes left, Caleb.
2 topics.
Oh, okay.
One I'll mention in passing because I still don't quite know how I feel about it being its own little thing, trying to be like the World Cup. But the World Baseball Classic is about to kick off. I cannot remember when the first games start. But Team USA is loaded. Years past, you look at it and you're like, yeah, some of these are really good rosters. USA is loaded this year. It's absurd when you look up and down that lineup. It's ridiculous. It's going to be them and Japan in the finals, and I would be amazed if USA doesn't come out on top this year. But baseball's starting. Obviously, spring training's already going as well. So that'll start ramping up. If you're looking for some baseball, World Baseball Classic will be worth checking out. So I would recommend that. The way the last one ended was epic. You had Ohtani pitching to Mike Trout when they were teammates still at the time. Bottom of the 9th, I think there were 2 on. USA was down 1. It was like a legit one of those bottom of the 9th, full count, down by 1 kind of scenarios. And Ohtani struck Trout out. So pretty epic stuff. I think it'll be worth watching. Go check it out. Nonsense, Pinky. I've only got one topic. We could have made some stuff up and then debated it, but I think those are more fun when there's more of us here. Some big news did go down this week, though. Netflix basically pulled their offer, if I'm understanding things correctly. They basically said, we're out. We don't want to do it anymore, which means WB will be owned by Paramount. So the hostile takeover worked. And I know Robert was very happy about this. I am very much I think I slightly lean 50.1% on it being bad. And that's because I know Robert hated it because Netflix would have ruined theater going and the theater experience would have completely changed. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But I am not a theater per se loving guy like you and Robert are. The reason I think this is bad is because it keeps the monopoly. And there's 3 or 4 major corporations that own all entities in media now. That's it. There's not much of a diversity. And I think Paramount acquiring this only inhibits the ability for art to truly flourish. And I don't truly believe that, but hopefully you get the generalization of the point I'm trying to make.
I mean, let's just be honest, man. In 5 to 10 years, there might be one theater in town. Movies hit theaters, they're there for 3 weeks, and then they're on streaming 3 weeks later. Streaming services are where it's at. What I what I hate about everything is that I feel like the streaming services pay big money for production of films, and then the films aren't as good as they are for the ones that go towards theaters. Like there's just something missing on any of it, whether it's story, whether it's production. I don't know. Comedies. You don't even get comedies in theaters anymore. Most of them are straight to streaming. Period.
Nah, the Me Too movement and everything that followed after that with being too PC, and that killed comedy for a long time. It feels like it's coming back now. Feels like it is back now, but you haven't gotten that good comedy movie back yet.
No, I mean I've seen a couple that are funny here and there, but nothing that's like, oh my god, that's so funny. No super bads, no,
Right.
Old school Wedding Crashers. We don't have good comedies, but this deal should be fine. Like I think Netflix just pulled out at the point that it was just going to cost too much to complete the deal and go ahead and let Paramount do it. I mean, eventually, all these streaming services are going to have to start buying each other out, anyways. Eventually,
Does it say anything about the entity that is WB and all their IPs, that maybe they're not as valuable as people once thought? Do you think there's any thought in that is part of the reason Netflix pulled out? Because they're like, look, we know, DC is major, right? Lord of the Rings, everything else that comes with it, major, but we don't quite think that we're going to be able to recoup our money based off of these anymore either. Do they see a switch to more original content, maybe? Like, do you think any of that has to do with them? Not just the fact that Paramount continue to hostily take over and raise the prices and stuff. Do you think there might be some thoughts of maybe the content isn't quite worth that cost?
I mean, I think there was a line.
We can create our own, and we don't need to spend for that.
I mean, that's been kind of their model for a long time, anyways. This would have been something new for them, of where they would have owned a lot of IP. I mean, obviously, if you talk to any of the guys that go and we pitched our movie to Netflix, we pitched it to Prime, we pitched, you pitch it to all the studios, and then they pick and choose which ones they want to put money behind. I just think Netflix had a number, and they knew, hey, if we take this deal on at those numbers, we're taking on a lot of debt that we don't know if we're going to be able to recoup that and then be profitable.
Right.
And again, at the end of the day, that most of these companies have shareholders and stockholders, right, that they have to answer to. And if you ain't making money, stock prices plummet, and then that's bad for everyone. So we'll see. It doesn't hurt either way. Again, I still think as a theater lover, I still have a feeling like a lot of theaters will be out of business in the next 5 years, as it is. I went and saw a movie. Robert and I went and saw that Crime 101. Good movie. We went to like the 9:00 showing. There were like 5 people in the theater on a Friday night, on opening night, opening weekend. That's just not good. And I know it's kind of
doesn't make it really worth it anymore.
Right. I only go because I pay $25 a month for a movie pass that I can go see, 3 movies a week.
Right.
And even now, I'm not. I probably will use it more in the summer, but right now I'm seeing maybe one.
Hasn't been a whole lot coming out here recently either, has there?
Nope. So
I want to see full circle moment, and all the streaming services end up being just a channel on cable. And then that way I can sit right where I started and never have to leave. But then my goddamn last channel button works a whole lot better, and I don't need multiple screens on at the same time to watch what I'm trying to.
Oh, that's not happening. But I'd like to see more of these streaming services merge. I am excited that if this all works out, HBO and Paramount, their app is merging, so then I won't have to pay for 2 apps anymore.
Sounds like HBO will absorb Paramount, which is basically all of CBS's content.
Right.
So that'll be interesting how that goes down and what that looks like. Yeah, I don't think it's, like I said, I think I'm ever so slightly on the side that this is a bad deal just because it monopolizes things or keeps them monopolized, if you will. And it seems like the more that happens, I mean, I'm a Nike guy and an ESPN guy. I have been ever since I was a little kid. Pinky and I have talked about this a lot, and he's made fun of me for some of my ESPN love, and I get it. But even I can admit it's awful, most of their programming now, compared to what it used to be. Sports Center is nothing like it used to be. It's not an actual sports news show anymore. It's more of a Entertainment Tonight gossip kind of show. You know, things move in that direction, and it's because the market of what's out there competing with you shrinks.
Well, a lot of people get, and again, this is, we're in a whole different era now. Now people like get their highlights on YouTube or Twitter or Bleacher, or like they don't go to ESPN for their highlights like we used to, right? You didn't have these services before where you could watch.
Yeah, I don't get that. I miss the days where I could turn on Sports Center and I got highlights from every game, from every sport, scores, stats. That's so much better than going to 8 different sites trying to find it and getting little highlights about one team and one team only. I don't know why it will this quick click, one shot, one trick pony kind of society that we live in with social media and everything else. I know I'm really far behind on the technology and the times, but it just still doesn't interest me that way. I want to consume my information differently still, and I struggle sometimes trying to get it the way that it's delivered these days.
Well, everybody else likes instant gratification, Caleb. So
them people didn't live struggling when they grew up. They need the real life. Need to see what the people have to deal with.
If kids today knew what we had to struggle with in the past.
Get to stay inside and play video games all day in the dark. We got kicked outside and had to live in the light.
Facts. All right, brother. I'll say closing thoughts here. Man, Robert and I got to go see AEW last week, and they did not disappoint. That was a hell of a show. Live wrestling is just it's awesome. As a sports entertainment fan, it is awesome. So kudos to Tony Storm. One of the best things going.
Yeah, you legit don't have to care about wrestling at all. Just go type in Tony Storm promos and just listen to her rant and rave for a couple minutes. She is, I mean, on a mic, that woman can speak poetic for sure.
Tits up.
Sure.
That's one of her catchphrases.
Oh, fair. Okay. She's wild.
Chin out, tits up.
Good for her. I like her. March means madness. And we are a week away. I'd have to check my dates again exactly. I believe we're a week away from conference tournaments starting, which then means we're basically roughly 2 weeks away from brackets. It's going to come up quick. I should probably look real quick. I'm saying this out loud. We've got just a second. Let me see real fast here. Oh, when do the tournaments start? That's all conference tournaments. Yeah, so we're a week away from conference tournaments ending. basically, roughly. About a week and a half from brackets. So it's going to happen quickly. This Sunday the 15th is brackets. Sunday the 15th is brackets. So a little under 2 weeks from March Madness getting its announcement. Which, I mean, best tournament in the world.
It's pretty fun.
I do mean even better than the World Cup, and I love the World Cup. But you get single elimination, Cinderella, and it's hard to beat that. It's very hard to beat that. And anything that gets any type of a series or round robin that allows you multiple chances to keep yourself alive automatically gets a little bit of a check mark in the cons when you're comparing to the NCAA tournament that is a 64-team one-and-done style elimination bracket for the best there is. So I'm excited. On that note, just like Robert did this evening, if you have that opportunity to spend that quality time with your inner circle, loved ones, family, friends, whoever you may consider that to be, take advantage of those moments. Jump on them, cherish them, and never let them go away. If you support us in any way, if you found us and liked anything you saw, if there's anything that we can do better and you're still wanting to support us, please hit all the buttons. Like, follow, share, subscribe, anything, all of them. We appreciate it more than you know. We truly do. If there's anything you want to talk about, as always, hit us up. Until next week. Peace.
Pinky in the building, repping orange and blue. Broncos country, yeah, you know how we do. Hot take so wild, you remember the name. From college ball to the pros, Caleb spitting game. Robert here, the pop culture plug. From comics to racing, pour the drink in the mug. Sports, nonsense and whiskey, yeah, bold talk. Good laughs and a glass in the air. Sports, nonsense and whiskey, right? Kick back, tune in, take a wild side.